Welcome inside the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound, joined momentarily by Collin Echols here from the campus of Bennington College. It's a lacrosse theme this week as we will visit with men's head coach Mark Crisco, senior Charley McGlinn from the men's lacrosse team, head coach Clare Hanson from women's lacrosse, and senior Kaylen Moore. But before we get to those interviews, Collin, Mother Nature really kind of, went 4-0 this weekend, I guess you could say. And, not a lot happened here on campus.
No, it's been a relatively dry week. It was going to be a relatively dry week on campus anyways, with all of our teams on the road. But we're going to have to go back, a little over a week now to get into what actually happened on campus. Right. And that starts with a doubleheader basketball matchup against Grandview. And the women got the day started on Saturday, and man, what a game that was. If you look at who has receiving votes next to their name, I guess you call it an upset. But if you look at the conference standings, it was a three-way tie for the top between the Ravens, MNU, Grandview. The Ravens now sitting at the top of the conference after knocking off the Vikings 66-48. And how about this? Holding Grandview to 14 combined points in the second half, 7 points per quarter, third and fourth quarter. That was just a lights-out performance, about as good as you could ask for.
Well, that wasn't even something that was, as I'm sitting there statting the game, looking at the line score in front of me, feeling like the game in the latter third quarter, start of the fourth quarter was close. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the actual score, and you're like, no, this is not a game at this point.
Yeah, it felt a lot closer than it was for probably the first quarter, the fourth quarter maybe, and then towards the end of it you could tell, like, okay, this is not a runaway, but we're getting down to it being a runaway. Great performances across the board. Riley Bruggeman led the way, 14 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, a dozen points for Owen Dieters, 7 rebounds for her, 3 assists and 4 steals as well. And then how about coming off the bench, Kyla Fitzgerald, 13 points, 4 rebounds. She's kind of coming to her own too over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, and I mean, I think at this point it's you look and you'd say, okay, she's good for 10, 12, 14 points a game coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And if you've got that consistently coming off the bench, combined with what Hattie Gross has been able to do coming off the bench consistently for the team as well, that makes this team even more dangerous as we hit the home stretch.
Yeah, and especially, a couple weeks ago, we're talking about, lack of depth and, some players out for the year, some people starting to work their way back. That's huge when you can have someone like Kyla step up and add just that extra dimension, like you said, makes the team exponentially more dangerous. Then they carried their momentum on the road at Park, 71-50, just a dominant performance from the Ravens. They're on a 6-game win streak to start the new year.
Yeah, I mean, they were on a win streak going into the break, and then obviously
you run into Dort
and Northwestern back-to-back night, double overtime
right.
with Northwestern, and then you've got to follow that with now back to being the number 1 team in the country in Dort. Tonight's a big night for the team with Peru State. That's another big one on the schedule. Just 10, 15 days ago, they played them here at home. It was a close game, so it'll be interesting to see how tonight shapes up. But then when you start to kind of look forward on their schedule, there's really kind of only one team that you've got circled left. Culver Stockton's playing better than they did at the start of the year when Bennington played them at up in Canton. But really, right now, it's kind of almost a 2-horse race for that conference title between Benedictine and MNU. MNU being the only team ranked in the poll this last time around, but the poll doesn't really mean what it once did because it's just a publicity thing. You would think 6 games combined with the big win in the Heart game of the week over Grandview, the next time the poll comes out, you would feel like Benedictine's women have a chance to at least be receiving votes, if not maybe based off of reputation, maybe potentially sneaking into the top 25.
Yeah, and I think they're, deserving of being in the receiving vote, maybe kind of in the last couple spots in the top 25 category, but They've certainly made their case, and honestly, I think that teams that make their case and don't make it up to that receiving vote or top 25 are that much more dangerous because, they're coming out to prove a point. Hey, right. We deserve to be here with everybody else. Like you said, at MNU to close the regular season, that's going to be a huge game. Playing at MNU, it's a tough place to play. like you said, kind of a 2-horse race coming down to the end of it. Then you flip over to the men's side. They've been on a little bit of a skid since Baker. 87-70 win against Baker a couple weeks back. They drop it to Grandview 66-55, and then they go on the road to Park, and Park handled business 82-69. Not necessarily reflective. A lot of fouls and some free throws there late in the game, but still a couple of big drops for the men as they kind of look to keep themselves in contention at postseason play.
Well, even with all that, the middle of the conference standings on the men's side still pretty muddy, but the men coming out of the weekend still sitting in that 7, 8, 9 position in the conference standings, with a lot of teams around them in those standings still left on the schedule. For me, looking at those 2 losses, they were 2 kind of different losses. The Grandview loss, a slow spell where the team just couldn't quite hit what they needed to. They finally got fire kind of in the into the middle half of the second half, and then got themselves back in the game, and then couldn't quite get over the hump. Against the Pirates, it was just turnovers at inopportune amount of times, and Park has proven over the years, and especially this year, if you give them a half court to convert offensively, they're going to be able to take care of that. And unfortunately, in that game, it was a situation where Benedictine just turned the ball over too much. A hats off, though, to Bryson LaRue. Hits 19 points in that game on Wednesday, gets 1,000 career points here at Benedictine. And so the latest member of the 1,000-point club for the men's basketball program. So really a lot of respect to Bryson to continue to kind of grind and get through what he's going through. They've got a big one, now too, with Peru State coming up on the schedule, a game that a close loss just a couple of weeks ago. So it's still kind of all out in front of them. I know coach is still very high on what this team can do. It's one of their, unfortunately, they're one of those kind of teams this year where when everything's clicking, they're top 3, 4, 5 in the conference.
Yes.
When things are not clicking all the time, they're in that middle of the pack. And when things they're just not in a position where every facet of the game has to be clicking for them to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, they've showed flashes, like you said, of looking like one of the better teams in the conference. You go way back to that home game against MNU. I mean, what a game that was, coming back from way behind and being able to spur yourself to kind of a last-second decision that didn't fall your way. Baker, I think they showed, how good of a team they can really be. But it could be one of those situations, too, where if they catch fire at the right time for this last little stretch of the season, there's no telling where it could shake out as close of a race as it is still on the men's side of things in the conference. Going away from the hardwoods, go to the mat for a little bit. Wrestling against Moval. Was it last Monday now? Yeah. Moval number 13th in the country. Missouri Valley takes it pretty handedly, 47-5. Caleb Peralta got the Ravens on the board with a tech fall win for those 5 points. But nonetheless, missing some key pieces on the wrestling side of things. So you think about what that could be, but no more home action for wrestling this season.
Well, and then again, Mother Nature prevented them from going to a big tournament this last weekend. So now their next competition will be on the road at William Penn. A couple of conference duels they'll have coming up with some tournaments sprinkled in. I'm sure Coach Barner will look to maybe get into some tournaments that we weren't previously scheduled to be in because of the missing a tournament before break, missing a tournament coming up after the break. But we're starting to see the same set of guys. So now you kind of we're going to see where the cards fall. It didn't go the way that they wanted to on Monday against Missouri Valley, but it was they were competitive. Just you kind of can see the difference between upperclassmen ranked opponents and underclassmen guys that are still trying to figure out what it means to be a collegiate wrestler. So another tough break for them, but they continue to remain competitive. So William Penn coming up on their schedule. Looking further down the schedule we got Senior Day coming up for men's and women's basketball on this Saturday. Central Methodist coming to town. Only time they have to play Central Methodist this year with the change in schedules, but it's still nevertheless a nice programs to get at home in Central Methodist on that side. And we as is evident from today's guests, lacrosse schedule coming up here pretty soon at home as well. Baseball and softball will be getting into the mix of things here in the next couple of weeks, but we're kind of in that next set of crossover where fall or where winter and spring kind of start to mesh together. This is your time of the year as a retired baseball player. You know what it means to be in the grind of this time of the season.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. You get the cutoff is right around Thanksgiving or something for where you can have team activity for baseball, softball, and I don't know how it works for the other spring sports, but you kind of have that lull period where it's just, hey, go get your work in on your own, go lift with the guys, and then you get back from Christmas break and it's like, whoa, we've got 4 or 5 weeks and we're out on the diamond, we're out on the lacrosse field, whatever it might be. So it's coming up. It's crazy. It's already here. Kind of hard to believe that it's already here with the weather that we have outside, but nonetheless, it's about to get into full swing. I think it's going to be an exciting semester.
Well, thanks for sitting down with us, Collin. Coming up after the break, we'll sit down with men's lacrosse head coach Mark Crisco. You're watching the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed here from the campus of Benedictine College.
Welcome to the Heart of America Athletic Conference, where innovation meets tradition. Here, growth is not just measured in victories, but in the development of character and sportsmanship. Our student athletes compete at a championship level, pushing their limits every day. The Heart is committed to an uncommon student athlete experience that features some of the premier athletic programs in the NAIA. Our commitment to excellence goes beyond athletics, establishing a community of support and mentorship. But what truly sets us apart is the heart with which we play. Join us and experience the passion, the drive, and the spirit of champions. That passion and commitment extends off the playing field and into graduation. The Heart of America Athletic Conference, champions in competition, leaders in life.
Welcome back to this latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound, now happy to be joined by the head coach of Benedictine men's lacrosse, Mark Crisco. And Coach, supposed to have something this last weekend. Mother Nature had other plans. How has the preseason, once you guys have gotten back from Christmas break, gone for you guys so far?
We got a lot of great leaders on the team, and we understand that we need to be flexible with the Mother Nature and making things happen. But we're dedicated to the process. The guys understand the expectations of what we're trying to get to. The season's a marathon, not a sprint, so we're working towards something bigger. So Mother Nature is not going to hold us back. We're going to keep working and getting what we need.
Looking at this year's schedule for you guys, a lot different than the schedule you inherited a year ago. Some positives and maybe some negatives because of that. But, you're supposed to have a scrimmage this last weekend that didn't pan out. Now you'll have an actual game coming up here in the near future. And then you've got a pretty substantial break, at least at home, before you're going to be back in action again. Just talk about what that buildup looks like for you guys as you get ready to kind of hit the ground running for that first game.
Well, all of our out of conference is just built up for the conference run. So again, marathon, not a sprint. We're understanding that what our expectations are is to build up to exactly having everything clean. We're in the pit stop right now. We're making sure all the bolts are tight before the wheels come off. We want to make sure that we have everything set, ready to go. Having a couple double headers with some teams that are more local to us. It's kind of the nature of the beast being in Kansas.
Right.
And we want to eventually branch out nationally, but we want to have that reputation of being somebody that people want to come play. We have phenomenal facilities. We got awesome competition that is willing to come our way. It's just we got to work with the schedule we can build and work with the budgets of other programs that are able to make their way here. So we welcome the best competition. We just need to be able to get them here.
Preseason NAIA polls came out last week. You guys just a few votes out of being in that top 10. That's they put it right there in the release. This is for publicity purposes only. Men's and women's lacrosse now on that ARC system and all that kind of fun stuff that really kind of controls who qualifies for the national tournament. But pretty strong core that you guys have back from a season that was a year ago that probably didn't meet the expectations that you guys had. Just how does that poll and then the taste of last year kind of serve to motivate you guys going into this year?
Well, missing Matt, we're going to miss Matt Goetzel through and through. He's a phenomenal human, phenomenal player, a guy that really had some strong leadership. And, we got to fill those spots of guys that we had graduated in those role player roles. But that core group, that we have our defense returning, we got some really good pieces on our offensive end. We added a lot to the middle of the field. So our expectations of, talent are still there. It's just putting those pieces together and having it flow throughout the year. So we're excited for it, and we can honestly see exactly where we're heading, where we're trending towards, and it's a lot of the guys are expected to step up into certain roles and play the way that we want to play. We want to play fast. We want to play in control, and cause a little bit of chaos.
Well, the conference announced first semester that they're going to go to a neutral site, or a home site for the semifinals and the finals of the conference tournament. We're lucky enough to be the first time to host that here at Benedictine. Guys that are on this year's team didn't have a chance to play KCAC when Benedictine hosted it. Mm-hmm. When the announcement came out, you guys found out that essentially that automatic bid to nationals comes through Atchison. Now, whether or not it comes through Benedictine is what you guys have to control. But what was the kind of the murmur around the locker room with the guys of saying, "Oh, hey, there's." We had expectations for ourselves, but now essentially we got to defend our home field to be able to then qualify for nationals.
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed with a lot of resources that other teams aren't. We have a lot of support from our alumni base and from our families that are included, and even school people who have no affiliation with the program have a lot of support for us. We're doing something different. And, it's really cool to have that opportunity for the road to the championship to come through us. So.
And this will be the second year for men's lacrosse to be a full-blown championship sport at the NAIA level. What does that mean for you, in your second year here, to be able to kind of continue to grow this program as now lacrosse is seen from a national standpoint to kind of maybe be on the same level with some of the other spring sports that the NAIA has offered for a number of years?
Yeah, I'm keeping true to the promise that I made when I took the position. Is I'm setting the standard high, and we're gonna strive to reach those expectations. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a really fun experience to continue to challenge ourselves in all the right ways.
So now you've had that full year to kind of get the guys accustomed to you as a coach, get them into your system. What kind of lacrosse can folks expect when they come to watch you guys on Legacy Field this year?
We're going to play fast. We're going to get up and down. We're going to have a lot of guys stepping out of their comfort zones as they come in, the transition from, high school level lacrosse to, elite level lacrosse where, we're playing fast and we're making guys, putting them in positions to make right decisions and make those decisions quickly.
So when you were out on the recruiting trail, recruiting that first class to kind of be yours to kind of build what you wanted to do here, what are you looking for? Where are you going? Are you trying to, you want to capture those local guys as much as possible, or are you looking more nationally with as many of those local guys as possible?
I think it's fair to say both. We want to be, we want the hometown heroes to want to play, the local guys to want to consider BC as one of their top choices. Obviously there's some other strong programs in our area. However, they're more into the Division II realm. And even in the Midwest, we want to be recognized as one of those clear, decisive decisions that, it makes sense for strong high school players to consider us. But then we also do have a national outreach. We're looking into the West Coast. We've had some really good success in our recruiting class recently on the West Coast. We've had good success in my first year on the East Coast, bringing in some guys with some talent. We're going to have a national outreach, and we want to continue to do that.
How does the Midwest game compare to what it looks like on the coast when it comes to, the kind of guys that people can expect to see when they come in, when you bring them into, Benedictine?
Well, it kind of goes towards what their overall youth experience was, where their high school coaches. So, we want to continue to build those relationships with coaches in the area to kind of mesh that around what we're trying to do and play fast. So what I would see is a lot of what we see with youth sports or youth lacrosse in this area is it's a little bit more towards the box game, or even more so, it's a little bit slower. Not in a good way or a bad way, but it's simply they like to set things up. We like to be more free flowing, give guys concepts that they can work through, and again set them up to make good decisions in a fast paced environment.
So when you take a look at the conference, you take a look at the schools that you're competing with nationally, who are the teams that people can expect that, Benedictine can stay on par with those or beat those teams? That'll be, a sign of the continued upward progression of the program.
But there's a lot of good programs around, and we want to compete. We want to really go after those players that, they have the option to go and look at Division I schools, but they choose Benedictine. That's really what we want to go after. It's the same concept that I had when I was at the Division III level. It's, hey, we are a Division III program, but we want guys who have Division I talent that choose the Division III experience. It's the same thing here. We want to bring guys in that are, have all the potential in the world and that can play at a high level, but they choose Benedictine for the academics and for the experience that we offer players.
Well, Coach, thanks for sitting down with us. Good luck. As you said, we still got a lot of time ahead of us, but we're excited to get you guys back out on the Legacy Field here representing Benedictine. Good luck this season.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks to Coach Crisco for sitting down with us today. Coming up after the break, we'll visit with one of his team leaders and senior Charley McGlinn. You're watching the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed here from the campus of Benedictine College.
Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas is a Newman Guide school with top 10 rankings in U.S. News and the Wall Street Journal. Choose strong Catholic identity and strong academics, including pre-med, nursing, engineering, and classical architecture. Benedictine granted more scholarships this year than ever before. Choose dominant Raven athletics with nearly 20 conference and national championships in the last 5 years. Choose a college consecrated to the Blessed Mother. Engage with a community of faith and scholarship. Join our mission to transform culture in America. It starts with you.
Welcome back to the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed here from the campus of Benedictine College. Josh Pound now happy to be joined by one of the captains on this year's team for Benedictine Men's Lacrosse, and Charley McGlinn. And Charley, thanks for taking the time out this morning. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult for you to get in here with as cold and as snowy as it is outside.
It's all right. We're surviving.
Well, I meant to say something to Coach. It's 1 degree outside right now. There's a couple inches of snow on the ground. That must mean it's lacrosse season.
Yeah, no, I knew from years past, it's always, end of fall semester. It's usually pretty nice. We get spoiled, and then we come back, and it's like, all right, guys, now it's like we're practicing in the snow, and conditions are less than optimal, but we make do.
So obviously you guys have been back, had a few practices. We're able to kind of be outside a little bit. Now, unfortunately, have to go inside with the way the weather's going. Yeah. Just talk about a little bit from a player perspective, how you think the ramp up has started to be so far for you guys as you've gotten back from break.
It's definitely always an adjustment getting back from break. You get guys that, might have gotten a little comfortable over break, guys that have been staying on their stuff, doing what they have to do. So it's kind of a conglomerate. But at the end of the day, we're trying to prioritize just getting everyone on the same page, back in rhythm. The weather definitely presents a challenge, especially like this week, we'll be majority inside, but we try to stress on a lot of these guys that it really doesn't matter the conditions that we're in. Control what you can control, and that means showing up, giving effort, making sure you're sleeping, eating, drinking water throughout the day is a big one. So just kind of meeting everyone where they're at, I think, understanding that it's always a gradual process when we come back this time of year, but control those variables that you can, and bring a good attitude when you come to practice.
You guys have a pretty solid core coming back off of last year's team. A season, I think that it's safe to say you guys were disappointed with. You did qualify for the conference tournament, but you weren't up in the conference rankings or where you had previously been as a program. Just talk about how maybe that served to motivate you guys through the fall, and then as you guys get ready to start tackling some games here shortly on the schedule.
Yeah, those guys coming back, sophomores upward, we feel the disappointment from last year and certainly years before. But we're always looking forward to a different narrative, a different season this year. and trying to instill that in the younger guys. But it's motivating to look back, but I've always tried to stress with my guys looking forward and understanding that it's okay to use those emotions from past seasons, but you have to build upon when those emotions aren't present, when the adrenaline goes away, when that crash kind of happens, maybe middle of a game. We've kind of been known through our team circle. It's like we're a second half team. It's like we have to have a few quarters under our belt to start. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, we have to sort of get into our flow. And I believe that's something that, we can definitely break moving into this next season. Again, it's just controlling those variables that you can when you show up, and focusing more on ourselves. Maybe instead of in years past focusing on our opponents and the big game and whatnot, it's like it all comes down to personal preparation and what you can do, what you can bring to the team, so that when it comes to doing your job, you're not letting that down, causing unnecessary turnovers, whatever not. So it all builds upon itself. But I think that, without rambling on too much, lacrosse is a team sport, but on an individual basis, you have to be taking care of what you can do on the field, because it just takes one guy or one mistake to change the course of the game. But it also takes one guy to also change the momentum of the game. Go on a scoring streak. I mean, lacrosse is all about a game of runs, fastest game on 2 feet. So it's a lot of fun, but with it comes a lot of responsibility on the individual.
Well, one of the things we found out towards, I guess, maybe the end of fall practice was that the road to nationals is going to run through Atchison. Benedict's going to host the conference tournament.
Yeah.
What was kind of the feel in the locker room maybe the next day or two after you guys learned that, hey, we're hosting this thing? So not only does it come through Atchison, we want it to then come through Benedictine too.
I mean, it's definitely cool. Like I said before, I feel that it's great. It's great that we get to host, but it shouldn't add to any pressure. So if guys are coming up to me and going, "Oh my gosh, it's going to come down. It's going to be on your soil." Like, I'm a senior. It's like, oh my gosh, the miracle moment. And I'm really not trying to think about it that way. I think it's great that we get to host here. We have an amazing facility at Benedictine. So it definitely will be, it'll be an amazing opportunity for sure. But it'll just be another game in my mind. And I know in a lot of my counterparts, seniors that I've been playing with over the years, it doesn't matter where you want to play. We could play in the middle of a cornfield. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna go in there and try to get it done.
Well, now that we've kind of talked about the team a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was it that brought you to Benedictine? What was it about Benedictine that enticed you to come continue your lacrosse career here?
Yeah, so I'm from Kansas City, South Kansas City, represent. And I mean, it kind of just, the stars kind of align in a way. I mean, I knew about Benedictine during high school, came on a visit, toured the facilities. Lacrosse obviously played a huge part. But at the time, I was looking at several other schools, was enticed by going to school with some of my friends at bigger schools perhaps. But I always knew in the back of my mind that this place was something special, and sort of the smaller aspect, but the Catholic aspect, and then also just the community aspect, I think is what sort of convinced me. I just woke up one morning and I was like, dude, I'm thinking so much about where I got to go to school, and is it going to be the right place? And it's like, this was right in front of me the whole time. And I was just like, just walking in the living room. I was like, hey mom, hey dad, I think I'm just going to sign to Benedictine. Like, let's just do it. Let's take it off my mind. And I haven't looked back since, and I couldn't regret it. I mean, it's been a fantastic experience. A lot of great professors up here, really good business leaders, guys that have owned their own businesses, understand, and also meet you sort of in a middle ground and understand where you're coming from as a student. A young man who doesn't really know what he is going to do yet with his life. He might have an idea, but they do a really good job here of kind of cultivating those gifts that you already have, and then just giving you raw, unfiltered opinions about things a lot of time, maybe that you wouldn't be able to get at some bigger universities.
You may have already touched on it, but what do you think has been maybe the biggest surprise for you now that you've had time to, you've been here for a few years and you can kind of reflect on your time at Benedictine that wasn't something you had anticipated on any kind of a visit or even once you first got to campus?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel that, I wouldn't say many surprises. I mean, I've only been to college once and everything was kind of a first, but I guess coming from a Catholic background, Catholic schools my whole life, it was nice to kind of see that could carry forward another 4 years through my formative and education. But I mean, okay, here's a surprise. I guess it's just like the caliber of people. I was skeptical when I first came in. You meet a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. And coming from an all guys school, I would say we were all kind of about the same, from the same area. But coming to college, you get into contact with people from all around the country, even all around the world in some cases. And it's really, I've found this out more as I've gone along, particularly in my upper classman years. It's like, I really enjoy getting different perspectives out of people, different encounters that you have, kind of going out of your way to maybe talk to those people that you wouldn't have before. And it's like that, I'll go back to that process kind of idea, is like opening yourself up to different perspectives, different ways of life. I would say that, I guess. If I had to say something I was surprised, just probably the people, the perspectives that you get.
Well, the final thing for you, you kind of maybe alluded to that too. Not quite sure what you want to do yet when you graduate, or do you kind of have a little bit of an idea of what you want to do once you complete your time at Benedictine's over with?
Yeah, so right now, it was my goal going into break that I would, be kind of finalizing something. So for the first time in my life. So the plan right now is to go into financial advising post-grad, and I've accepted a position at a firm in Kansas City close to home. So really excited, and it takes a bit of stress off my mind going into the season for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to that next chapter of my life.
All right, Charley. Well, thanks for taking some time with us today. Good luck on this season. And we'll switch gears coming up after the break, and we'll talk with women's head coach Clare Hanson. You're watching the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed here from the campus of Benedictine College.
It all began in 1937. A vision to start something different, something better. A college athletics association where competition wasn't just about the scoreboard, but about character, growth, and rising together. From that first tip-off, the NAIA has grown in size and in spirit, in the way we play, the way we lead, the way we make athletics greater than a game.
This is college athletics the way it was meant to be. This is the right way to play.
Welcome back to this latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound now joined by NAIA Coach of the Year for Women's Lacrosse here, Clare Hanson. And Coach, congratulations, first of all, on that honor. I know we talked a little bit about it in the fall, but we didn't get a chance to really kind of touch on it too much. But fall ball's over, the winter break's over. You guys are kind of back into hitting those real practices, I guess you could say, as you get ready to start the semester that is the countable semester for your competitions. Just take us back through how you think fall ball and these first couple of weeks of practice towards the start of the second semester have gone.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that we have such a large number of returners and starters, but also huge role players back on the team. So, it may appear like most of our team is the same as last year, but bringing in 9 freshmen, it's a ton of learning throughout the fall, and so we're trying to really focus on our defense, especially with losing Sophia Jurgensmeyer and Sloan Poindexter to graduation. Margot Gelbach, also midfielder who also helped us on defense. So, really trying to focus on that area of the ball, especially throughout the fall and definitely the beginning of this season. So it's been awesome to see the progression, and the girls really did work hard too over winter break. You can tell that they had their stick in their head the whole time. So we came back looking sharp as well.
Well, we've got, below freezing temperatures, snow on the ground, so that could only mean that games are just a few days away. Just talk about how, what it's like for you guys knowing how, okay, we got to adapt, we have to cheat, but, elements are something that you guys play your game in as long as the conditions allow.
Yeah, we've been inside a little bit, recently. But yeah, I think it just forces you to work on certain things, which sometimes, I always say God's plan. We apparently got to work on these things because it's the only thing we can do inside. So I think we've been finding ways to get better, and, we got awesome managers who film us no matter whether we're outside or inside. So we get to watch it back too and keep learning.
Second national championship for you in the program. You touched on a few key players not back this year, but obviously a very strong core. The first time around for you guys, it was almost a brand new team. What kind of things can you take from the season after the first championship to this season after the second one?
Yeah, I think the first year that we won in 2022, it was not a shock, but, we were just out there like, let's do the best we can. Let's try to win the first round because that's something that group hadn't done since their freshman year. So, we were just focused on the quarterfinal in 2022 and then just kept winning. So I think after that, you bring in most of those guys graduated. You bring in, it's a very, very new team, young team. And there was, I think, a lot of pressure on them. And just, I tried to alleviate that pressure, but sometimes it's hard, even just mentally. So I think our group last year, going undefeated, winning the national championship, we still had that mentality of like, let's just do the best we can. Even in the games where we won by a lot, we were maybe not always happy with our performance because we were focused on us and doing the best we could and playing within our system and playing our role well. So, the score doesn't have to be reflective of that. So I think that they were more focused on that, and I think that's going to continue on into this season. So I feel like our mentality has prepared us a little bit more to go into this and handle kind of that pressure that comes with it.
Well, last week we get the preseason coaches poll, which they put right on that, release. It's for publicity purposes only, but it still is nice to be the one sitting on top. Not a unanimous selection though. So is that something that even is on the radar of you and the team to say, hey, we've won 2 of these as a program. We went undefeated last year, but there's still a little bit of element out there that doesn't respect who Benedictine Lacrosse is.
Yeah, I think we always kind of feel like that, last year the polls didn't have us at number 1 all year. We didn't get the number 1 seed. So it's sort of like we're used to kind of being the underdog, and that's kind of nice feeling when you're, go undefeated and win the national championship and you still feel like an underdog. So I like it. I saw it come out that day, and I remember after practice, I was already home, and I was like, man, I forgot to even say anything about it because it just doesn't really come to mind. And again, I just don't think it's something that we focus on. So yeah, I thought, I didn't mention it, but yeah, I probably wouldn't have anyways if I would have remembered. So
scheduling threw you a little bit of a curveball this year with some programs that were familiar to a lot of people that we've played for years, no longer going to play. So you kind of, if folks look at that schedule, they're going to say, well, there's a few Division II schools on there, but there's really not that much of a difference between Division II lacrosse and NAIA lacrosse in our area, is there? Yeah.
I explain that to recruits all the time. I think competitiveness is similar to D2. Obviously academic and athletic scholarships. So I think some of our just even setup and vibe of the schools are similar. So yeah, it's super exciting that we kind of have, at least 3 schools that are pretty close to us, Division II that are competitive, and then going to play Quincy this year outside St. Louis will be, that'll be a great game. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, it sucks to lose a couple NAIA games, but I think our schedule is, maybe tougher than last year. So.
Well, one of the other things that came out in the fall was that the conference is shifting its postseason model to a neutral site. for the semifinals and the finals, and that's going to be here on Legacy Field. Something that we've experienced before when we were in the KCAC, but something that this team and these girls have not experienced. Have you guys talked about what it's going to mean to know that the birth to the national championship runs through Atchison?
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. I remember I don't remember what year it was. I think it was a GA when the women won, and then the men played in the conference championship right after, and the men won. So it was fun to have that at home, and I'm told the girls that we're used to if you're the higher seed playing at home, but it's kind of feels more like a tournament when there's other games going on. So I think it'll just elevate the feeling and prepare them even more for what it's going to feel like at the national tournament.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for taking the time. Stay warm. Good luck to you and the team as you get ready for those first games coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
Coming up after the break here on this edition of Greatness Unleashed, we'll sit down with senior Kaylen Moore and talk about her perspective on this upcoming season here from the campus of Benedictine College.
Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas is a Newman Guide school with top 10 rankings in U.S. News and the Wall Street Journal.
I'm well aware I'm on Benedictine ground today, a place filled with the mind and spirit of St. Benedict.
Choose strong Catholic identity and strong academics. In 2024, students were granted more scholarships than ever before.
Being here now is one of the best things that has happened to me. I didn't know that authentic Catholic education was something that I could experience.
Choose a vibrant residential college in the heart of the Midwest, consecrated to the Blessed Mother with daily Mass, confession, and perpetual adoration.
Here at Benedictine, all my friends around me, all the people around me were channeling me in to truly make the faith my own.
Choose dominant Raven athletics with nearly 20 conference and national championships in the last 5 years.
It's taught me responsibility, accountability, on the field, off the field, in the classroom. Being a strong Catholic man, I feel like is my mission for how I can transform culture in America.
Make St. Benedict proud of you to be a son and daughter of this outstanding college.
Entrust your future to a college that believes that faith and reason are not just about yesterday, but about today and tomorrow. Because Jesus Christ is the same, yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Engage with a community of faith and scholarship. Join our mission to transform culture in America. It starts with you.
Welcome back to this latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound now joined by reigning NAIA Player of the Year, Kaylen Moore. And how does that make you feel to hear that thrown out in front of your name?
Yeah, it's kind of almost surprising. I forget about it, honestly, most of the time, because mostly when I think about last season, I just think about, the win as a whole. And sometimes, honestly, I forget I even hold that title. So when I hear it, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that's right. But, it's really cool that I could, accomplish something like that. So
program coming off of a national championship, you lost a couple of key contributors to that team, but for the most part, a pretty solid core coming back for this year's team. Mm-hmm. How did you, as upperclassmen, kind of initiate those new freshmen to the program in the fall, and then as you've gotten back from Christmas break, on like the expectations of what it means to be a member of the program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we really, right off the bat, really wanted our expectations and just the standards that we hold for our teammates to be set and super clear right away for the incoming freshmen. And we did lose a lot of seniors, but the ones we did lose, they were, a huge part of our team on and off the field. And so, and then we're adding, it was in the beginning of the year, it was like almost 9 or 10 freshmen. So it's a lot of, it's a big group to kind of add in there. So right off the bat, we just wanted to make it really clear, like our rules when we run, our rules when we are at practice, the standards that we have, and we will hold each other accountable for. So we really just wanted right away for the freshmen to, understand those things and really understand what was expected of them. And then also just for them to feel like loved and a part of our culture and our team. And that was why we were so successful last year, is we were just so tight knit and just had so much like love and trust for each other. And so that was something also that we really want to like grow in the beginning of the year. Adding a bunch of girls, like we really want those relationships to grow and flourish. And so, we just kind of wanted them to know like how much they were loved and accepted and wanted, on our team, as well as, we expect everyone to perform at a certain level, and none of those expectations are going to change for anyone, no matter your age.
Now, one of the things I talked with Coach about was, the poll comes out last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all expected Benedictine to be at the top. You don't not put the defending national champion on top. I think what maybe surprised us a little bit was, even though it's publicity purposes only, it was not a unanimous number one. And one of the things that the program has kind of prided itself on, especially since Coach Hanson took over and as we've started out, was kind of playing with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. And like, there's not the respect there that maybe a 2-time national championship program gets compared to some other programs.
Yeah.
What was the feeling with you guys, as players? Coach said she didn't even bring it up in practice, didn't even think about to talk about it. Is that something that you guys as captains, as team leaders, have kind of looked at to say there's maybe still a little bit of disrespect, even though we are the defending national champs?
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the back of our heads, but we haven't even really fully addressed it. I know when I first saw it and realized that it wasn't a full unanimous vote, I kind of initially was like, whatever. We all know what we did last year. It was so explicitly clear what we earned rightfully. And we worked so hard, and, people, it was first, our strength and schedule was why people didn't take us seriously, or, we are just kind of, it just felt like we were like the underdogs, even though we were performing so well and competing at a high level. And so then, going through the tournament and performing in the way that we performed, like we all know what we did and we all know what we earned. And so it was just kind of like, whatever. People are there's always people that are going to hate. Like that's always, maybe not hate, but like there are always people that, might disagree or feel a certain type of way. But really that's just not even, in kind of like what we're talking about right now at all. But, going forward, it's definitely, it just only fuels to our fire. It's almost like I almost enjoy when things like that happen because it's like you just want to prove people wrong and just show them like, no, we're here to show up and play and win, and we'll prove that wrong all day like we did the year before.
You've been from day one a contributor, one of the front players for the team. The one that's out there. The draw specialist, one of the top goal scorers, one of the playmakers for the team. But now you're a senior in that role. Mm-hmm. Has that kind of started to set in for you at all? That hey, there's a little bit of an end coming up here soon.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really strange feeling because every year I always think of the years I have left and all of that. And, I always, I take a lot of responsibility and, want that responsibility, and it's, the pressure's there, but it's, a privilege to have that pressure. But this year I'm almost feeling like, okay, I got to make sure the people younger than me are prepared to like go forward and take over this team, which I have no doubt in my mind that they'll be able to successfully do. But I want to like contribute to the best of my ability and perform still like the way I've been performing. But now I have almost a side of me that's also like, I need to make sure I can pass as much wisdom, as much, strategy, like all the experience that I've had. I just want to like pour all of that out for my teammates, just to like better, the future of the program and just like leave my mark here in the best way that I can. And so kind of just legacy has been a theme recently. I'm like, wow, yep, this is it. This is my last year to like do whatever I need to do and leave it out there. And so I'm really just like, I want to leave everything on the field and just like pour everything I have to my teammates.
So now that we've talked about all of that, senior, you've had time to reflect. What was it those of us that have been here understand where a little bit of the connection is, obviously, but just tell us, for those that may not, like, what was it about Benedictine that brought you here to then continue your lacrosse career?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm from Seattle area in Washington State, so a little bit farther away from Benedictine College, and people definitely aren't talking about Benedictine College where I'm from. People don't, know of it.
Right.
It's not like a very common place to go for students. And my sister she played lacrosse, and her high school coach knew Coach McGee, the coach previous to Coach Hanson, and that's how she kind of got a connection and ended up going here, played her 4 years here, graduated in 2020, actually was teammates with Coach Hanson, which is kind of a funny connection. And so she's kind of what, brought me here, or definitely revealed the beauty of Benedictine to me. And so ever since she was here and played here and had such a great experience, it had always been on my list. And I think at first I was maybe a little apprehensive, the size of the school, Atchison, Kansas, just the location, really different from what I was used to. But at the end of the day, looking at the options I had, it just felt like, I'm just going to go for it and see how it goes. And now I'm so thankful I had made that decision, and I'm so happy here. So it's been great. But yeah, she's kind of the one who led me here, I would say.
Once she knew that you had made your decision to come to Benedictine, did she give you any advice, or did she just basically say, hey, I'm going to go let you experience this and have your own experience, and then if something happens while you're here, I'm here, but go experience it yourself?
It was a lot of, have your own experiences, and she was always there and is always there. She's someone that will forever be there for advice and wisdom for me, which I'm so grateful for, and has been so insightful and helpful with certain things, and maybe things with team dynamic and or strategy, or things I'm mentally struggling with as an athlete. I've always felt I can go to her and talk to her about it. And kind of the theme, what she would say before I'd, ask or go to her with something was just this is your time to do what you need to do, find yourself, find your stride as an athlete, and, don't just be who you are, and don't apologize or feel bad for the way you are. This is just your time to flourish and find yourself. Right. So it was kind of just this is your time, soak it all up. I miss being on a team all the time. Don't take it for granted. But yeah, she really is kind of allowing me to just experience things on my own, and is there to help and guide me, but isn't super overbearing with the advice either, which is something I really, she kind of allows me to go through it.
Well, one of the things is we'll wrap this up. Again, you're in that last semester of your time here at Benedictine. What are you studying, and what are you wanting to do with it once your time here at Benedictine's over with?
Yeah, I'm double majoring in marketing and management, so studying business. And post-grad is really up in the air right now. I can't really apply to positions quite yet. I'm very open and interested to see what the location might be. I'm, interested in going, back to Washington, or just the West Coast, or kind of whatever opportunity that would be the best suited opportunity. What if it presented itself in a new location? I'm really open to that. But I don't really have something set in stone right now, but I've just been networking like a crazy person and talking to as many people I can talk to, and try and get as much wisdom as I can possibly get, and just see what lead to something. And I'm kind of, interested in medical sales, something along that line. Maybe sales. I'm also, the marketing degree in me too, interested in that side too. So I think this next semester is just going to be full of conversations and honestly applying, the interviewing process, probably all those things. So I wish I had a more specific answer. It's really daunting, not having no clarity with what my life will look like, but it is exciting to know, a year from now, I'm going to be somewhere in my groove, in my job, doing something, getting a start to my career, which I'm really excited to get a kickstart on. But yeah, that's kind of the overall gist of it, I guess.
All right. Well, Kaylen, thanks for taking the time. Stay warm. Good luck to you and the team as you continue to prepare for those first games coming up here in a few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's been the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Thank you for watching here from the campus of Benedictine College.